Yomi is Gittin Daf Lamed Gittin 34. We're going to start at the bottom of Lamed Gimel on the base, 3 lines from the bottom. We've seen two machlokos between Rebbe and Rashbag. The first is about Rebbe Gamliel made a takana that if you nullify an agent who you appointed to, if the husband appoints an agent to send the get to his wife, and then he wants to go and nullify him, Rebbe Gamliel said you can no longer nullify him just in front of a separate court. You have to do it directly in front of the husband, the agent, or to the wife directly. But let's say you went ahead and nullified it in front of the court in defiance of Rebbe Gamliel's takana. So Rebbe says the nullification takes effect, whereas Rashbag said it doesn't take effect. Because if that's the case, Makoch Bez and Yafa, that's the first case in which Rebbe and Rashbag argued. Then they argued in the second case about where you say to 10 people to write a get for my wife, and then are you able to nullify some of those people, not in front of all of them, just some at a time? So Rebbe says you can, and Rashbag says you can only nullify them, all of them together. So now Rava says, Amar Rav Nachman, Alchik Rebbe B'Shtein. Well, it's like Rebbe in both of them, i.e., you can nullify just some on their own. You don't have to nullify all of them together. And also, you can nullify, if you nullify it in front of a court, it's a valid nullification. So the Gemara says, so he says, okay, so if you went ahead and you nullify them in front of the court, it takes effect. Rashbag said it doesn't take effect, because if that's the case, what's the power of the Beis Din if their takana of Rebbe Gamliel doesn't take effect? So Rav Nachman rejects and it follows like Rebbe. So saying Rav Nachman doesn't accept this principle of Makoch Bez and Yafa, what's the power of the court? Well, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel, we have the following case. Let's say you have Yisomin, Shabal Achok B'Nefsei Aviyan. Yisomin, let's say we have orphans. Yisomin doesn't always mean minors, but in this case, it's referring, Rashi tells us, to minors. They want to divide up the estate of their father. And based in Mamidan Lahen Apotropos, the court selects for the orphans an executor to monitor the estate, Uborin Lahen Chelak Yafeh. And the executor who manages the estate on behalf of the orphan chooses for his orphan, the executor chooses the best portion. But when the children get older, they could say, look, I don't like the job you did and I object to it and I want to undo it all. Rav Nachman, the day Amar, but Rav Nachman himself said, Rav Nachman himself said, no, once the children get up, they can't undo what the apotropos has done, what the executor has done. So he came Makoch Bez Din Yafeh. As if that's the case, what's the power of the Beis Din? So we see that Rav Nachman does employ this principle of Makoch Bez Din Yafeh, but whereas in the case of Rebbe and the Get, he doesn't employ it. So how can you say that he passes like Rebbe when here he does say Makoch Bez Din Yafeh? So the Gemara says, well, in that case, he employs it by Memona. By a strict monetary case, there, Rav Nachman says the court has ultimate authority because of the principle of Hefker Bez Din Hefker, that court has the ability to make something ownerless. But in this case, it's a matter of prohibited and permitted, and so therefore, the rabbis are not going to. We're not going to say that they have the ability to stop this man from nullifying to get in front of the Beis Din. Therefore, Nachman passes like Rebbe. So the Gemara says, Gido bar Rilai shadu agito edviseu. So Gido bar Rilai sent a message to his wife. Azal shlicha. He sent a get to his wife. Azal shlicha ashkacha tava yasva minavla. So the agent came and he found that she was weaving. Amrullah hagitech. So the agent says to her, "Here's your get." Amrullah zil hashta miha the salamachar. So she said, "Listen, go now. I'm busy. I'm busy right now. I can't deal with this right now. But come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow." Azal gabe. So he went back. The agent went and found Gido bar Ila. V'amarei pasach v'amar baruch hatov hametiv. He says, "Oh, So he says, oh, that was a great thing. He said it was a great thing that Gila Bar Eloi said, blessed Baruch Hatov Amaztiv. Thank God that you didn't give it to her. But he didn't actually nullify it. So what's the implication of that? So Abaye Amar Baruch Hatov Amaztiv Vobito Gita. He said, yeah, he said, oh, thank God, but he didn't actually nullify the get. Rav Amar Baruch Hatov Amaztiv Ubito Gita. Rav said, no, he said Baruch Hatov Amaztiv, and that's the equivalent. That expression is equivalent of nullifying the get. So Abaya is saying then he has to go. He hasn't nullified the get, and so therefore, if the agent came the next day, the get would be able to be delivered. Whereas Rav is saying he canceled the get. So b'may. So what's the nature of their argument? Begiloi daita begita kamiflagi. Whether or not we can derive his intent, whether or not the clear intent of the husband that he no longer wants this agent helps to nullify the get or not. Abaye says, listen, it's not sufficient that he no longer wants it. He needs to actually cancel it. But it's not sufficient to know what his mindset is. The Rava says, Rava says, no, if we know his mindset, that's enough to cancel the get. And we're going to have a dispute here between Abaye and Rava. This is one of the 6 cases where Abaye and Rava argue in Shas, where the halacha is like Abaye. This is called Yal Kagam. This is the Yal Kagam, and this is the Gimel of Yal Kagam. Giloy Daisa Bekita, that Abaye says Lav Milsai, that awareness of the husband's knowledge of his mindset is not enough to say that the get is nullified. And so this is the Gimel, and so this case the law is going to be like Abaye. So says Rava says Giloy Daisa Bekita is a Milsai. Rava says, I'll prove to you Giloy Daisa Bekita Minamino. Rava says, what's my source? The Rav Sheshes Ashkoi Gita U Gavra Bal Karchi. That Rav Sheshes was able to force a man to give the get. So Rav Sheshes was able. He took a get from a person against his will, meaning to say he forced him to write a get for his wife. And this is and then the husband said to the witnesses after he appointed them against his will, he said, Rav Sheshes, this is what Rav Sheshes said to you, Vato Gita, that Rav Sheshes Gita Achrina. So he said, but this guy, after he was appointed, he said to the witnesses, Rav Sheshes said to you to cancel the get, meaning to say, Rav Sheshes, Rash says, Rav Sheshes was speaking to you, and I heard him say that the get is canceled. So we see his clear intent was to cancel the get. So this is a proof for Rava. Because Rav Sheshes required another get. The Abaye says, no, that's not a proof. Atu Rav Sheshes Mevato Gita. Do you think Abaye's response was, do you think Rav Sheshes Mevato Gita the Inchiavi? You think Rav Sheshes would cancel the get of other people? So the only way a get can be canceled is through the husband. So, excuse me, Raj says, I feel Gili Daisaleka. This is not even the mindset of the owner. Rav Sheshes can't cancel it. The lo Amar Ana Batalte. The husband didn't say, I'm canceling it. Ella Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes is the one who's canceling it. There's not even Gili Das of the owner. He was just telling what the Rav Sheshes said. And so the only reason why he said that Rav Sheshes canceled the get and not himself was Mishum Depanoi, because these people Rav Sheshes appointed were they were about to strike him from the command of Rav Sheshes, and they were saying to him, "Why are you going to cancel it?" So he's saying, "I didn't do it. Rav Sheshes did it." So that's why he said it. So it wasn't a proof. So if that's the case, and so therefore, when Rav Sheshes told them. So therefore, Rav Sheshes said that Rav Sheshes said it's in order not to hit him. And so therefore, the only reason why Rav Sheshes needed another case was not because of the Giloy Das, but because the husband explicitly did it. And so therefore, you can't bring a proof from that case. It wasn't a mindset question. It was an explicit nullification because they were striking Rav Sheshes. They were striking this husband because he had explicitly canceled it. And so then he responded to them. Rav Sheshes said to do it, but this was not a case of Giloy Das. That's what Abaye says. The Gemara says, Abaye, so The Gemara says, V'amar Abaye, Mina Amina Law, and Abaye says, how can I prove to you? I'll prove to you that Kiloi Dais Begita is not a milsa. The Rav Yehuda Ashko Gita Lechasne, the Rav Yirmiyah Bira. Rav Yehuda forced the son-in-law of Rav Yirmiyah Bira to give a get. And then after he forced him to do it, then Ubatle, then Rav Yirmiyah Bira canceled the get. Tana Ashko, so then Rav Yehuda went and forced him a second time to do it. Ubatle, and Rav Yirmiyah's son-in-law, Rav Yirmiyah's son-in-law canceled it again. Hadar Tana, Ashkel Karchay. So then he forced him a third time to do it. So V'amaru L'Sa'ade, and he said to the witnesses this third time that he's forcing them to do it, Usivu Kari Bu'naichu. Put some curry is like a gourd, meaning to say put it like gourds in your ears, put in ear plugs, and write it. And so this is proof that we don't care about the mindset, because but if you're going to say that once you know the husband's intent, that's relevant and it's enough to cancel the agent. We see that this guy was running after him. So we know his mindset. He's running after them. They just have the earplugs in. So this proves that it works. So Giloi Daita Begita is not a milsa. The earplugs work. So the Gemara says no. Rabba would say, "Hi, the karai pasrayu." The only reason why he's running after them, the Amru, they thought maybe he's saying, "Ashur, do it quickly." Avua, Ashur, Avua. Then they're basically saying, meaning to say, do it quickly. Give her the get already. He's saying, be done with it. So this man's distress can be done with. They're running after him, saying, make sure you do it already. Abaye says, I'll prove to you another source that Kiloi Daita Begita is Lav Milsa. Hey. This is the case we already had 2 days ago. We had it in Durham, we had it in Sulos. We know this case already. A person says, if I don't come within 30 days, this will be a get. Also, Paskim Avra, he came and he missed the boat. He's on the other side of the river. So he has Giloi Das, I'm here. And it doesn't work. Shmuel says that's not called coming. So we see from here that Giloi Daita Begita is Lav Milsei. Rava says, Atu Asam will be too a Gita boy. You think that he was showing up there to fulfill the get, to cancel the get? No, Asam will Kiyume Tanaika boy. He wasn't coming up there to cancel the get. He was coming up there to fulfill a stipulation. Tonight, but he didn't fulfill the stipulation, meaning to say the person wasn't employing the principle of nullification of the get. He was just trying to employ the principle of filling a stipulation. So he used the wrong technique. He should have thought it through, and so therefore it's not a case of nullification of the. It's not a case of Giloi Daita. That's what Rava said. Read the Rashi. Atu will be two a Gita boy. Zeshakil without Shino Chafetz Bekirushin Alo Kum Gila Shubal Afkin. They beat he never revealed that he was coming to cancel it through that nullification process. He's coming to show that he fulfilled the stipulation. There was a person who said, he said to her, they were engaged. He said, if I don't fully marry you within 30 days, this will be a get. When the 30 days arrived, he said, at that point, he said to them, look, I'm working really hard for the wedding, and so therefore I wasn't able to marry her. So the only reason why I didn't marry her was because of an onus. And so therefore, we should be married. So it should not be a get. So the Gemara says, what's our concern? What's our concern? Could we say that the get should not apply here? Of course it should apply. Would we say, if you want to say, well, it was against his will, we already established earlier, we're not going to accept the extenuating circumstances when it comes to a get. And if you want to say, well, his mindset was clear that he doesn't want to divorce her, it's Giloi Daita is this is the dispute between Abaye and Rava, and Abaye says that's Lav Milsei, it's not a nullification. So we see from here that it would be a get. Because we know the halacha is like Abaye, because it's one of the Yalkugams. We want to similar ratio. We have a Gita. Another person said, if I don't marry you by Rosh Chodesh Adar, then this will be a get. Kimat Rosh Yarchad Adar, when Rosh Chodesh Adar arrived, He said, no, I meant Rosh Chodesh Nisan. I didn't mean Rosh Chodesh Adar. So Gemara says again, why would we possibly say that the get should be can't? Why would we possibly say the get should be canceled? If you want to say it was extenuating circumstances, cancel the get. No, we don't apply. Sorry, this is the dispute between Abaye and Rava, and so therefore, we know the halachas like Abaye b'yakagam, that even that we don't accept his intent, we have to see it explicitly. We don't go for his mind frame. The halachas, I just want to finish the sentence. Halachas kinachman, halachas kinachman, the halachas kinachmani, and this is the source of the idea. Nach. You ever seen nach? The Nachman, Rabbi Nachman Mibrasav, nach. This is the source for the idea. Hilchos Nachman, who says that that he said earlier that if you remember, we saw the dispute between Rabbi Nachman and Rav Sheshis, that if you're doing the nullification of the get not in front of the agent, that you can do it in front of two, you don't need three. And the law is like Nachman also, where he said that halacha is like Rebbe by Shtein. The law is like Rebbe both with respect to the fact that if they went ahead and nullified it in front of the court, even after takana, it's a valid nullification. And also the halacha is like Rebbe. The law is like Rebbe when he says that you don't need to nullify all the people, the witnesses, in front of each other. You can do some at a time, and then we nullify all of them. That's what Rebbe says. Rebbe says there that if you nullify them not in front of all of them, it's still nullified. And then the last case is the Hilchos Nachmani, and the law is like Nachmani, which is like it's Abaye that Giloi Das Eino Milsi, because this is like the Yalkugam. Why is he called Nachmani here? So Rashi says, V'nira Be'inai, Rashi says, why is it called Nachmani? The Al Shem Sharabba Bar Nachmani, Gidel Abaye Bebeso, because Rabbi Bar Nachmani raised Abaye and he taught him Torah and he was an orphan. And so therefore he gave him the name of his father was Nachmani. That's what Rashi's approach. So Rashi says he called him after his father, who was called Nachmani. But the Aruch says just the opposite approach, that really his name was Nachmani. And Rabbi Bar Nachmani didn't want to call Abaye by his father's name. So because he felt that was disrespectful. So instead he called him Abaye. You had a question, Chia?
Would it be the same outcome if it's other sheni?
Oh, they had to specify which was other. So if it wasn't ambiguous, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know what to do. Other sheni, they didn't specify. I don't know the answer. So okay, next Mishnah. Barishona. At first, before the Chacham made a takana, Hayimashana Shmo Ushma. Then the husband would write the get only the name that was called in the place where the get was written, and he wasn't careful to write the get also in the name that the get was actually given. And Shem Ira v'Shem Ira, and he also would write only the name of the city where the get was written, and not the name of the city where the get was given. His kin Rabbi Gamliel Azake and Shayakosev Ishponi v'Chol Shum Sheyesh Lo Isha Poni v'Chol Shum Sheyesh Lo Mimnei Tikkun Olam. So Rabbi Gamliel Azake made a takana that you should write his name and every name associated with him, and her name and every name associated, on account of Tikkun Olam. Because if they will not do this, if they will not write this, then when the woman gets divorced with this get in the second place and she wants to write it, they'll say, no, it's not her, it's a different person. It'll say the offspring of Mamzerim. So that's why I made this takana. Yeah, every name that he's called by. So Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel Shachai b'nei Medina Sayam Rabbi Gamliel b'nei Adam Abba Misham Lakan. Let's say there are people who come from Israel to here. Shemo Yosef. His name in Israel is called Yosef. V'koron lo Yochanan. Here we call him Yochanan. Or his name was Yochanan V'koron lo Yosef. Hech Megarshin Nishosein. How do they divorce their wives? Amar Rabbi Gamliel ve'Iskin. So Rabbi Gamliel made a takana sheyakosin ishponi v'kol shem sheyeshlo ishaponis v'kol shem sheyeshlo they tikkun olam. That's the source of the takana. You have to write all their names. Amar Rav Ashi. So Rav Ashi says that which you have to write every name that they have. V'hu this chazik b'trei shmei. That's where he has established that there are two names. meaning to say the place where the get is written, they know that in the place where it's given, he has another name. But if they don't know that there's another name in the place where it's given, they don't need to add on that phrase, even if it will become clear afterwards, and indeed he has two names, the get is not disqualified. And the reason is that they write the name by he's known by in that place. And that's sufficient. I'm Rabbi Yala, Rabbi Marv, Rabbi Lazar, Kaimik Kavasach. They agree with you that only if you know that there's another name, do you have to write Kol Shem Sheish. Tanya Kavase de Rav Ashi. So if a bride supports Rav Ashi, let's say you have two wives. Achas B'Yehuda v'Achas B'Golil. One is in Judah, and one is in Golil. And these two wives, he has two names. One in Judah, one in Galilee. The Garish is Ishto Shabihuda, B'Shmo Shabihuda. Oh, it's Ishto B'Golil, B'Shmo Shabigolil. Ain't Megaresh. So if he divorces his wife in Judah with his name in Judah, or his wife in Galilee with his name in the Galilee, Ain't Megaresh is actually Garis Ishto Shabihuda, B'Shmo Shabihuda. He's not going to be divorced from her unless he writes the name in Judah with the name of the Galilee. As Ishto Shebegalil b'Shmo Shebegalil, v'Shem Yehuda Imo, and also he has to add on the name of Judah with it. He has to add on all their names. Yatzal Makom Achar. Let's say the husband went to another place that was not in Judah or Galilee, and there they called him by the name that he had in only one of the places in Judah. And so there he writes the get, the Girish Be'echad Mehen. And he wrote the name, and he wrote the get, the name where he's called in that place. Migarashas, then she's going to be divorced. Even though he didn't write both names, even though he didn't write the name of the Galilee, which is the place of the giving, which is the main place. So the Gemara says, Amris Shem the Galimo. But then you say that he has to write the name of the Galilee with it. It depends whether or not the people knew that he had two names or not. Miriam, Uporta Sarah. There was a woman that most of the people called her Miriam, but a small amount called her Sarah. Amri Nardai, the people of Nardai said, since most of the people in that city call her Miriam, therefore it's the main get. Miriam calls Shum Sheyeshla, both Sarah calls Shum Sheyeshla. So for main name is Miriam, you write Miriam with all of her names, and not Sarah in all of her names.
You write the phrase all the names.
Yeah.
You don't actually write all the names.
And you do write the names, yeah. You do write the names.
So you write let's say the 5 names, right? All 5 names, and then you write and all the names of the other one. Like you write.
Yeah, we have to look at the exact get language. I don't remember, but it said Miriam called Shem Sheyeshla, the Iskari, she's also called this, she's also called this, she's also called this. And then when they give the get, they sit down, they analyze. Do you ever called this? Are you called this? Are you called Bob? Are you called Robert? Are you called, they go through all the names. Are you called Yossi? Are you called Yosef? They go through it very carefully. So since in the previous mission we're talking about the takanos that Rabbi Gamliel Zaken made, so now the mission is going to bring another takana that Rabbi Gamliel made, which deals with which collection of the widow's ksuba from the orphans. We know that the widow is entitled to a ksuba or mizono. She's either supported by the estate or she gets the lump statement. So the woman cannot take the ksuba from the estate of the orphans ela b'shvua unless she takes an oath that she didn't accept anything yet. Nimnu milashpia. If the judges were afraid to make her take an oath, and so as a result of this, the widow was not able to collect the ksuba. We'll see why in the Gemara why the judges were afraid to take an oath. So his Gemara Gamliel Zaken, so Gamliel Zaken made a takana that she would make an oath, a vow to the orphans, whatever they wanted. V'gova ksubasa. Meaning to say, she would say, if I had collected from this ksuba, then I won't be able to eat fruits anymore. I mean, to say she tied it to a vow as opposed to an oath. And so another thing that we did because of tikkun olam, witnesses sign on the get on account of tikkun olam. The hill hiskin perusbol of the tikkun olam. Also, hill instituted perusbol on account of tikkun olam. We discussed the perusbol yesterday. This was the reform that Hill the Elder made, that people that the loans were canceled at the end of the sabbatical year. So people weren't lending money. So Hill the Elder made a takana that you give, this is called a prusbul. You sign a prusbul document, which basically hands your loans over to the court, and that makes it so that your loans are not terminated at the end of the sabbatical year. So Hill did this in order to save the world, because otherwise nobody was lending money. All right, I just want to say that tomorrow's daf we're going to do only at 7:30 in the morning. Not going to do the God willing the 6:30 and the 8. It's also Tuesday like that too, because Tuesday we have the early Rosh Chodesh davening time start. Shkoyach. Happy Father's Day to my father.